Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Emma, and I'm excited for today's episode because we're talking about a subject that affects everyone: education. Whether you're a student, teacher, or just someone curious about learning, education plays such a big role in our lives, right, Tom?
Absolutely. Emma, hi, everyone. I'm Tom, and I couldn't agree more. Education isn't just about school or university, it's something that shapes the way we think, solve problems, and interact with the world around us. Today, we're going to dive into the topic of education, looking at different types of learning, the impact of technology, and how education is changing globally.
Exactly. And to start, let's hook our listeners with a big question. Is the traditional school system still the best way to learn in today's world? What do you think, Tom?
Wow, that's a great question. Emma, the traditional school system has been around for a long time, but with the rise of online learning and new teaching methods, I think there are so many more ways to learn now. Vocabulary tip: traditional refers to something that has been done in the same way for a long time, like schools with classrooms and textbooks. Do you think online learning could replace traditional schools?
I think it's possible, but not entirely. Online learning has definitely grown, especially after the pandemic. But there are things about in-person education that are hard to replace, like social interaction and hands-on experiences. What's your take on it?
I agree. Online learning has so many advantages. It's flexible, often cheaper, and allows you to learn from anywhere. But there are benefits to being in a classroom, like working with others and having a more structured environment. For example, in a classroom, you can ask a teacher a question in real time, and you get immediate feedback.
Yes, that real-time feedback is so important. Vocabulary tip: feedback means getting a response about how well you did something, like when a teacher tells you what you did right or how to improve. So, Tom, did you enjoy school when you were a student?
I did, for the most part. I enjoyed subjects like history and English because I loved storytelling and learning about different cultures. But I wasn't so great at math. How about you, Emma? What was your experience with school?
Oh, I loved learning, but like you, I had my favorite subjects. I always looked forward to art and literature classes. Math was a bit of a struggle, though, but what I've learned over the years is that everyone has their own learning style. Some people learn by reading, others by doing, and some need a mix of both. Do you think schools should focus more on individual learning styles?
Definitely. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, so one teaching method might not work for everyone. Vocabulary tip: a learning style refers to the way a person learns best. For example, some people are visual learners, they learn best by seeing things like diagrams and pictures. Others are auditory learners, meaning they understand better by listening. I think schools are starting to adapt to this, but there's still a long way to go.
Exactly. And now, with the use of technology in education, teachers have more tools to cater to different learning styles. For instance, there are educational apps, videos, and interactive games that make learning more engaging. Do you think technology has changed education for the better?
For sure, I think technology has made education more accessible to people all over the world. For example, someone in a remote area can now take an online course from a university on the other side of the world. Vocabulary tip: accessible means something that's easy to get or reach. But, of course, there are challenges too. Not everyone has access to the internet or the devices needed for online learning. What are your thoughts on this, Emma?
I completely agree. While technology has opened up so many opportunities, there's still a digital divide, meaning not everyone has the same access to technology. It's something that needs to be addressed, especially if we're moving towards more digital learning in the future.
Yes, the digital divide is a real issue. We have to make sure that education remains fair and accessible to everyone, regardless of where they live or how much money they have. But I do think technology will continue to be a huge part of education. I mean, we're already seeing things like virtual classrooms, AI tutors, and even virtual reality field trips.
That's true. And let's not forget the impact of social media on education. Students today can use platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to learn new skills. I've seen students learning everything from cooking to coding through these platforms. It's amazing how the internet has expanded the possibilities for learning.
Exactly. Social media has really changed the game. Vocabulary tip: platform here means a website or application where people can share content, like videos or messages. So, Emma, do you think social media is a good learning tool?
I think it can be, as long as it's used wisely. There's a lot of great educational content online, but there's also a lot of distractions. It's all about balance. Too much time on social media can take away from focused learning, but used correctly, it can inspire creativity and curiosity. Have you ever learned something new from a YouTube tutorial or a blog post?
Oh, definitely. I've learned how to fix things around the house, cook new recipes, and even some basic coding just from watching YouTube videos. It's amazing how much knowledge is out there, just waiting for you to explore. I think that's one of the best things about today's education landscape. You don't have to wait for a formal classroom to learn something new. You can start learning anytime, anywhere.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about education today. You can follow your curiosity and learn what interests you. In fact, many people are using online platforms like Coursera or edX to take courses and even get certifications in fields they're passionate about.
That's a great point. These platforms offer courses from universities and institutions all over the world. So even if you can't attend a traditional university, you can still access high quality education. Vocabulary tip: certification is an official document that shows you've completed a course or training and have the skills in that area. It's becoming more common for people to learn new skills online and get certified for them.
And that brings us to another interesting topic: lifelong learning. With the way the world is changing so quickly, especially with technology, people need to keep learning new skills even after they finish school. Do you think lifelong learning is important, Tom?
Absolutely. Lifelong learning is essential, especially in today's fast paced world. Whether it's learning a new language, upgrading your computer skills, or staying updated in your field of work, there's always something new to learn, and it keeps life exciting too.
Yes. And the best part is that with so many resources available, it's easier than ever to be a lifelong learner. So, listeners, if you're passionate about something or want to improve your skills, don't hesitate to explore new learning opportunities. You can learn at your own pace and in your own way.
That's right. Whether it's online courses, reading books, or listening to podcasts like this one, there are endless ways to continue learning. And remember, learning is a journey, not a destination.
Well said, Tom. So, before we end today's episode, let's review some of the key vocabulary words we talked about to help our listeners remember them. Ready?
Let's do it. First up, traditional.
Traditional refers to something that has been done the same way for a long time, like the traditional school system with classrooms and teachers.
Next is feedback.
Feedback means receiving a response or critique about how well you did something, like when a teacher gives you feedback on an assignment.
And then we have accessible.
Accessible means something that is easy to reach or get, like education that is available to everyone, regardless of where they are.
Great. And finally, lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning means continuing to learn new things throughout your life, even after you've finished formal education.
Awesome. We hope you found today's conversation useful and inspiring. Education is such a powerful tool, and it's something we all have access to in one way or another.
Yes, and we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's education system, and how do you like to learn? Let us know in the comments or send us a message on social media.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Remember, learning doesn't stop when you leave the classroom, it's a lifelong adventure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you soon.